Competition in the house cleaning business. How do you survive? I hear that question probably the most in the recent time because a lot of house cleaning companies are frustrated. We don't know what the heck is going on with the economy nowadays. Google and Yelp are going crazy with the algorithms. They're not performing as well as they used to. They're not predictable as they used to be, right? Sometimes there's nothing going on there. At the same time, there's a huge amount of immigrants moving to this country. And because of the language barriers and because of the resource limitations, a lot of them jump into the cleaning business, which we're all in, and we're not used to that level of competition, right? So on top of that, you have big boys like Amazon, like different AI startups. I just talked to one the other day, and different a little bit questionable startups and companies that are still big, that are trying to, they think they know what they're doing, right? So they're jumping into the space and they're trying to create a platform where anybody with a mop and a bucket can suddenly, call themselves a business, right? And then themselves consider themselves a house cleaning business, even though we all know they're not. So how do you survive this perfect storm? Because it hurts to a lot of companies, especially the ones who recently started, in this business. And as I always advocate, you got to do the right thing. You got to be for real. You got to do it for real. You got to be licensed, insured. You got to pay taxes. You got to train and care of your employees and have a long-term relationship with your clients and with your employees. Not just be like quick money grab, right? So what do we do? What do we do as an industry? What do we do as house cleaning business owners? My name is Elena Ledoux. I'm the founder of Superb Maids, one of the fastest growing house cleaning companies in the United States. And I'm here today with my guest. He's a friend of mine. His name is Jason Miller. And he's an amazing entrepreneur, one of those people who I am inspired by. Is very intelligent, is very successful in our field. He's a fellow cleaning business owner. And a prime example why, just because you know how to clean doesn't make you a successful business owner in this field, right? So he's a really good example of that. He has other companies, including what do you call it, like a payment processing?
Yeah, payment processing.
Right. So thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I think it's going to be super useful for my audience to learn, and just in general to people to learn how to cope with current circumstances for our industry. So you must have spent some time thinking about like how in the heck do we survive this storm of competition from all sides?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a question that I've been getting from a lot of people that I coach, but also myself. It's very different than what it used to be 10 years ago when we started, even 5 years ago. I feel like house cleaning companies are being, it's changed on many different fronts. Like you mentioned, PPC, Google Ads, it's a completely different ballgame now. And I think digital marketing is kind of going through a big change right now. And so that question comes up a lot. And it's a question that we've been taking on and trying to attack and figuring out what works and what doesn't.
And your background is in IT, right?
Yeah, well, similar to you, attorney. I was an attorney,
right.
And then went entrepreneur and started a company while I was practicing. But I do have a pretty good background because of this. I've got a background in web development now, some IT, but online marketing. And when we started our company, that's kind of how we got going, was we were offering different things that other people weren't offering. So back in the Uber days, before Uber was Uber, we were doing online booking. So that was one of the ways that we grew. And it was one of the ways that a lot of home cleaning companies are trying to grow now. I don't know how it's working out compared to what it used to then. They got to do multiple things now, more than just having an online booking system.
Yeah. So how many locations do you have for your cleaning company now?
We've got 4 locations. Our biggest one's in Phoenix. We've also got our second biggest is in Salt Lake City, and then Las Vegas. So we're a little bit of a competitor there.
Yeah.
And then we're pretty small in Denver.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do for your company to survive the competition?
Yeah. So we try to have multiple funnels in which we're trying to get new users, new customers. And so that's a metric that I've always tracked is how many new people are coming to us that have never come to us before. We love people that are coming back. Absolutely. We're built on recurring. But to feed that recurring machine, especially with a house cleaning company that's built on residual or those monthly cleanings, those weekly cleanings, we've got a loss rate and we need to feed it with a growth rate. And so I've always tracked how many new people are coming to us. We've done PPC. That's been a big thing for us, LSA. But as you mentioned, again, that world's changing. And so we've had to look into other options as well. We're still doing those things, though we've changed our approach and we kind of changed our attitude on it. It's not the glory days of what it used to be. And I think that's being felt and shared among a lot of people in the industry in terms of that's not working the way that it used to. So for us, we've been really focusing back down into the customer's experience. So if we're not getting as many digital leads as we used to, then we really want to create a moment where we can convert more. At least that's what we're focusing on right now. And I believe that when people are calling for a home cleaning service, there are some people that are motivated by price, but I think most people want to have that peace of mind. And so if you inform them in a way that makes them feel comfort and they kind of relate to that, and then you pitch them the price, that price doesn't matter as much. And I think that's where a lot of people, especially over the last 5 years, that have said, I can start a company, I can start a cleaning company, and then they just farm it out or they just hire whoever they can. And then that connection with the customer, whether it breaks on the quote or it breaks in the moment of the service, it breaks. And then they don't come back.
It's very flimsy.
Yeah, very flimsy. So we've been trying to focus some of our efforts back into cultivating a very good experience for that customer that they can't get elsewhere, because there's so many people that entered the market that just suck at it. So
easy.
Yeah, it's easy, but it's now a longer process to get those people because they have to go out and get burned and then realize, oh, okay, Superb Maids is maybe a little bit pricier, but it's because of a premium and because they're going to take care of me. Same with us.
Yeah, exactly. It's not so much how much you're paying, it's how much are you receiving.
Absolutely. Yep.
I always tell people, remember that you're not selling clean toilets. That's not what we're selling. We're selling joy, we're selling health, we're selling love. And that's like really valuable compared to a clean toilet. Anybody can clean a toilet, right?
Yeah.
To some degree. So yeah, that's very important.
Absolutely.
So I think of all the factors, or like right now they're up in the air, right? So where do you think things are going to land? We don't know what's going to happen with election, right? We have election this year. It's going to be very interesting and not in the way that I wish I was. We have different climatic factors. We have economy kind of as a question mark. Seems like a positive, but we're not sure. And then we have all this competition, immigration, and all of that. So where do you think, if you had to like forecast the future a bit and in terms of planning for your business, where do you think all these pieces are going to land?
For house cleaning or for home services? Yeah.
Yes, for home services.
Great question. I tend to try to be an optimist, but I'm a bit more of a realist. And I do think we're going through a cycle. I think that we're going through a cycle of things kind of being kind of upturned and recreated. I think AI is throwing a lot of things out there for us to consider. And I think COVID got a lot more people involved into business and maybe some of them shouldn't have. And so they're kind of flooded the market. I do think that the weak are going to not make it. And I mean that in terms of business.
Yes.
And I think
Hopefully.
yes, I think that those that can persevere and have the discipline to continue to do the business fundamentals and to continue to learn and continue to educate themselves, they will be able to pivot and turn. So I don't know what it really looks like. I do think it's going to be tougher for quite a while, and tougher isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just like competition isn't a bad thing.
Makes you
competition can make us stronger. That discomfort can help us to grow. But I do think it will also involve people really, you can't have fast business, fast success most of the time. You have to build a quality business that people want to be a part of, both on the employee side and on the customer side. So in 5 years, if you can maintain that discipline of reflecting and learning and implementing and pivoting and turning, you'll make it. And then maybe we'll go into another high growth moment where there's a cycle where people who are already pivoted and positioned for that, they're ready to launch again.
So you don't think that the whole COVID adventure that went through, that wasn't bottom of the cycle?
I don't know. Well, that was bottom of one cycle and maybe created another cycle.
Second bottom.
We're having the rippling effect of just, okay, now we're going to deal with another ring of something. And so I do think a little bit of a falling out of like I said, some of those businesses, which will be nice in the end, I guess, for those that can commit.
Can get it
Discipline.
right.
Yeah, get it right.
For those who mean it.
Yeah, for those that are real about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we think so similarly, right? And we both have legal backgrounds. Like, if you're Asian, I would say like we could be related even, but
Maybe we are.
One of my favorite topics that I like to think about, because my husband calls me ChatGPT, right? So it's like, what is the impact of AI for house cleaning industry in general? Like for your company in particular, I'm curious to know what you're doing since you're technologically forward. And as well as like, what impact do you think AI is going to make on business in general?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people are asking that question about their industry. With house cleaning, we've been looking at it in terms of trying to relieve the cost associated with the customer service side of things.
Right.
With house cleaning, as you know, the larger you get, the more inquiries we have. We're not just a service that can stop by on the outside of the house. Doesn't matter if you're there or not, and they can just leave. Pest control companies, they seem like they have it made in that area.
Yeah.
But for us, we got to schedule that time, show up in that time. And so that with that comes a lot of these, I need to reschedule. I need to cancel. Someone's late. I'm not there. The door's not open. And so we get more tickets, I think.
That happens in my company.
Really? You got to teach me.
No, just kidding. It's terrible.
It is. It's a bit rough. So I think we do have to have maybe more customer service hours that are spent just on facilitating those appointments. And with that, though, this conversational AI that's going on, we've been testing it out in some of our CRMs, and they've been having conversations with some of our employees and actually taking care of the conversations. So right now, it's not so far. It's getting there. We can't have the AI schedule them all the way, but that's where this is going. And we've had it have some conversations where customers have asked questions, and it's taking care of those customer questions. So what we've done is we've attached the AI, we've filled the database up with, if you will, our processes, our procedures, our frequently asked questions in our knowledge base. And customers can then ask a question, and it's giving a response just as the agent was or would. And in many cases, maybe even better. Yeah, it's getting better. I heard something on some podcast one day, and they said eventually we're going to be on a phone call, and we're going to call up a company, and we're going to need help. We're going to be talking to this person, and 5 minutes in, we're going to say, "Wait a minute, are you AI?" And it's going to say, "Yes, I am." We're going, "Oh, good. Okay, let's keep talking." Because it can get to the point more, and it's seemingly understanding really what's going on. So, and how to respond. I think for people in the house cleaning industry, or people that are trying to start a house cleaning company or have one, it can relieve some of the cost of that. Mm-hmm. And the generation, or in the content side, it can help to get you out there and be more present in the communities that you're in, and which is another way that I think people need to engage in order to grow a house cleaning company nowadays, is be in those community chats, be on those community channels, and actually have a presence there.
But do you think people will get fatigued, like the public will get fatigued from seeing all this? Like, because I don't know if you can do it or not, but I can pretty much tell if something is written by AI.
Yeah, I think so. But what I see is we can tell when it's written by AI when the person using it didn't prompt it enough or didn't set it up enough. So, and I think it's just going to get better. So eventually we probably won't be able to tell.
Yeah, my husband sometimes writes poetry for me. And one time he wrote through AI, and he sent it to me. He prompted it well, so I couldn't recognize it. And then after I found out about it, I was like, if you do that one more time, it's going to be immediate divorce. So yeah, but what do you think it's going to do? AI is going to do to the rest of the industries, like IT or legal?
Yeah, customer service is in trouble.
Yeah.
Legal. I had a buddy reach out to me. He wanted a little bit of legal help, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. And so I took one of my previously drafted demand letters, memos. I fed it into GPT, one of my legal GPTs, and tweaked a couple of things. And 20 minutes later, I'm like, that's really good.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Better than an associate would.
Yes, that's the problem for people entering the legal world, is they have to deal with this GPT that can do half of what they can do or more.
Much faster.
It's got some, much faster. It's got some really good arguments too.
Yeah.
The way that it understands things are mind blowing to me. So
yeah, and I feel like it's developing so rapidly because our mutual friend Chris Bullitt, I remember we're at the summit a couple years ago, just recently, and he was just testing like a chat bot or something on the customer service. And I remember he was like freaking out because the customer was cursing at the chatbot, and the chatbot was like not getting it. So now it's a lot more refined.
It's a lot better.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Last year, I knew somebody that set up a bot to respond to reviews, and someone trolled a review and said something provocative about it, and it was a completely different service. And the response was like, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed your expletive service. And so it's come a long way. It doesn't do that now. It can actually recognize intent and tone.
Yeah.
And so you can set up those rules and parameters to say, if this is a positive response, I want you to do these things. If it's a negative response, let's not go there. Let me handle it. So
wow.
It's scary, right?
It's really scary. Yeah, but I feel good because overall, I feel like we are probably at least 200 years away till the moment when AI will learn how to clean the toilet. So.
I think so. That one's going to be tough. Yeah, you can't replace that yet.
Yeah. So finally, the most important question. What advice would you give to someone who is really struggling right now with their house cleaning business? Like they're struggling to scale, they're struggling to survive even. What would you tell them?
I would probably say, don't stop trying different things. This is a moment where things are changing so often that we don't know what's necessarily going to work the right way anymore. But what does work and what's proven over time is if you keep trying, you can you will find those gold mines, if you will, before other people do. One example that I've got is when COVID hit, for most companies, April was crazy. We had a lot of people cancel, put things on hold. In May, I noticed that a lot of people stopped advertising. And I thought, like, why don't we just advertise and go for it? We were gobbling up all of the advertising market. We just had them all. And so April hit, we lost about 50% revenue. May hit, we were back up to 75% of normal. June hit, and we were back at 100%.
Awesome.
And so I use that as an example of, we weren't sure what to do, but when we saw an opportunity and we were testing, we tested and it worked. It took about 9 months, and then everybody else was back to their regular marketing cycles, right?
Yes.
And so being in these highly volatile moments of what's going on, the worst thing you can do is sit there and freak out and do nothing. Yep. Yeah. And I do see too many people doing that. They say, well, 2 years ago, Google Ads worked so good for me. I'm waiting for it to work really well for me again. It's probably not going to happen. Could, but it's probably not going to happen. So get out there. You can go B2B sell. We've got one of our biggest clients as a home builder, and the more of those clients we get, the less impact we have when all these residential customers have issues, or maybe their budgets are tight. And so if you haven't done B2B before, that's another opportunity that can be tapped. Yeah. And people don't network like they used to. At least I don't think they do. I don't really like networking a whole lot, but once I get into it, then I can start doing it. And getting those business partnerships lined up, that's huge. That can definitely help. Now, all of those things, though, unfortunately, aren't like super quick. You're just going to turn around and everything's going to be great. But if you wake up day after day, you're disciplined and you have a plan and you test and you reflect and you test and you reflect, you will find a way forward in terms of growing your company.
Exactly.
So
there are people out there who need their homes cleaned.
They do.
Who have the money.
They're busy.
Yep.
Dual income households have a hard time finding opportunity to clean their homes. one of our highest demographics for our customers are people between a 1,500 square foot home and a 2,100 square foot home. They're busy. They can't get, they're probably out working all the time. And so to automate their chores is one thing that helps them to maybe have some downtime on the weekend and get back to normal life. And so I think people still do value house cleaning in general, but you've got to make sure that you're bringing that value to them and kind of delivering above and beyond.
That's true. I can add to that because people ask me that question all the time. What do I do? How do I survive? How do I grow? Um, when it comes to growth or even doing well in business, I feel like people have expectation, like they'll watch you, but like, I want to be like Jason. I want to do this many millions. I want to have this many locations, right? But then the effort they put into getting there is not a Jason level effort. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I think the TikTokification of everything makes people think that they can approach business in a TikTok way. Like I can just do little bits and do little things and it's just going to work. When I started my company, I was working full time and I'd come home and I would work until about 3 in the morning and I'd wake up at 6 and I'd go. I worked so much and I don't necessarily recommend this regimen,
Yeah.
but I worked so much to the point that I got kidney stones because I wasn't drinking water.
Yeah.
Kind of hurt my back a little bit, probably from sitting so much. But you don't have to necessarily do that. But there does need to be, especially getting started, there needs to be a pretty massive effort of learning and trying and getting in there and involved and educating yourself. It's just not a quick thing that people, I wish it was quick. I love that too.
I know. Me too. I'm probably one of the laziest people I know. But sometimes, for business, I have to do certain things. So, and I was talking to one of my partners in a different location, and they said, "Well, we did what you taught us, and it's not working. That particular strategy, which is posting in community like Facebook groups, right? It's free, so it's really like, I know it works. It worked for us." And they said, "Well," I said, "Well, how many posts did you do?" Oh, like 2, right? And there was like a few responses, but nothing like substantial. I'm like, okay. So when I started Superb Maids, I was posting so much, I was banned from every single Facebook groups in my town, right? So, so when you do that, when you get
Yeah.
banned, then you did enough,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
That's when you can expect Jason results, right? So
Exactly.
if you just did it like 2 posts and then you walked away back to the couch,
It'll never work.
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not how I'm sorry. That's not how the world works. I wish it was, but it's not. So the main takeaway for today's discussion, today's talk is this. If you're struggling and you are afraid of this huge amount of competition that we're all facing in our industry, don't give up. It is survival of the fittest, so be the fittest, right? So that's my main takeaway
Be
from
fit.
today. Be fit. Like not like, well, physically be fit, but be fit as a business. And I want to thank you, Jason. I think this was a great conversation. It was a great learning point for me as well. And
Yeah,
reinforcement.
absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys have any questions or comment or other helpful suggestions on this topic, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching. If you believe that this video was valuable, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to make a shit ton of money, then become my licensing partner, right? So if you want to know how to do that, just find me. See how good you are, first of all. You can find me and message me directly. I will always respond. I have an amazing team for that. Let's partner up. Let's grow. We're going to take over the world together. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.